How's it going, everyone? This is Anon. None of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Alright, so we'll get started. Turn off my headset. I don't think I need it. Ayo, what's up, CJ? Yes, D, what's up, Raid? What's up, Random? Entertain me. Dance, monkey. Dance. What's up, Vagine? What's good, guys? What's good? I'll do my best to entertain you. It's a weird day on the market, you know. Chopped a bit. Some things were running. All sorts of stuff was going on, right? Alright, so I was going to go through and take a look at a couple different things, but let me just make sure I took care of everything I need to. Did I take care of that? Somebody's OnlyFans was posted. What's up, John? Or Jonathan? What's up, man? Alright, let's see what we got going on tonight. What do you guys want to cover? Come up with a list, I guess. Oh, we lost a subscriber. I was like, thought I had a 1 there. Alright. Good stuff. Let's see. Content. Live. Alright, so just throwing it out at the beginning of the video for anyone that's, wanting to. We do have a free Discord that we talk about all these things, and a lot of the people that are in here obviously are in the Discord as well. Good collection of a bunch of different retail traders. We've got, Booksy actually is on our channel still. He's been kind of doing YouTube for a while, but he comes in and drops TA on us. We've got a whole bunch of different kind of skill sets that are in the channel. So I just wanted to throw that out there at the beginning of the this, which I don't normally do, but I just figure we'll throw it out before everyone gets distracted. All right, so. But anyway, like I said, it's free. We do have a bunch of free resources in there as well. I think I showed most of you guys yesterday, but here we go. Put that out there. We have a freak Discord too. Yeah, we have fun in there. Pew pew pew. All right, so there's the Discord link. It's free. There's no tricks or anything. When you go in there, it looks like this. But if you want to get some education, there's a section here called Market Education. You go to Fundamentals, and then if you scroll all the way to the top, or you can look at the pin stuff. But this drive right here is full of. Let me pull it up for you guys, just so people know where it is for anyone that's new. You've got a whole bunch of different types of things. So if you want to learn about risk management, if you want to learn about the VIX or volatility, Stock Market 101, this is kind of like a nice beginner's place here. I think there's some Stock Market for Dummies things. But yeah, it's all free. Fundamental analysis for Dummies. I actually did read some of these myself. So, it's a good collection. There you go. Alright, so I'm super stoked. ATER's going to make some moves soon. So, yeah, I was going to say, so you just have to be patient with Aterian because obviously I'll go over the chart on that. But what I can tell you is this. They need to eventually pump it up so, they're going to need to get the warrants unlocked at some point. Will they do it now? Will they do it a year from now, who knows when the timetable is for them. But for them, it's going to be easy pump because all they have to do is slap the ask on a very tiny, micro cap. It's not micro anymore, but it's still a very small cap. And they slap the ask, they get the people, the price will move quickly. And at that point, they'll be able to dilute or do whatever they want to do. But it's going to move at some point just because, minimum 320 is where the warrants are. So for them, they'll probably have to move it up to at least like 4 or 5. So if the stock's going to be sitting down at like the 230s levels, 220s, 210 is the low that we've double bottomed already. If you can buy those dips, you'll probably, if you get your average underneath 320, at some point you're going to be profitable. So, there you go. Good. CJ's already been on. All right. I don't feel confident it's going to pop anytime soon, but I'm a negative Nancy. Yeah, it's fine. like I said, it's going to happen. It's just when. So we went through here. I'll skip the SPY. I was going to start with the SPY, but if you want to talk Aterian real quick. All right. From here to basically here, right? This is where the volume starts. This is where the volume died, right? So this is when it ramped to 16 on the last run, and it went all the way down from 16 to 210 before it ran again. And it ran over here. And all this stuff down here, it was just teetering here in the 2s for the longest time. And then randomly, it just ran up to 7, right? There was no news. There was no relevant, there was nothing that made it run, essentially. It was just no news, nothing happening. There was not a catalyst. And then it just ran to 7 randomly, probably to unlock the warrants, to be honest, the pre-funded warrants. So they pushed it up so they could get their hands on them for armistice. And then they pushed it back down. And then now we've been chopping down here in the 2s again. We might see another spring, so you might see a nice dip down and then hit that spring, and then it will go back up. I'm talking about Wyckoff Springs, if you don't know what that is. So once that happens, the stock will then move up at some point. I think last time we hit a spring, it was down around here-ish. Spring test, I have it labeled here. And so it took, I think, 10 or 12 days after that, but then we got the run. So there you go. Back to the SPY, because I think that has relevance to pretty much all the things in the market. So I did something random today. I just wanted to draw this out just to kind of show you guys something that I was noticing. And let me see if I can pull up the bot stuff. Hold on. Where's my bots? So if you go to main trading floor, how to use the bots, issue bot commands. So I'm going to go !TA SPY and see if it matches up. Okay. So roughly this is around 415-ish, 415, something like that. Is that right? Yep. All right. So this is something that's going to be interesting, and I just want to show you guys this. So I pulled up in our Discord. You just issued !TA technical analysis on the SPY, and look at this second resistance point right here, right? The 415.47, and look at 411.77. So these are areas of resistance right now. So we've already, this is the 415 one. So I just wanted to kind of point out where this thing is relevant. So look at this. So this thing had popped up back in, if I can go back a little bit. So it had been above the 200 here, right? 200, I think, is this blue line right here. Charlie, sorry, my dog. Charlie, knock it off. So anyway, didn't quite get down to here, right? Recovered, pushed up, touched the 200, came down, right? It broke through briefly here on February 24th. Came back up, bounced off it again. It was holding as a nice support, right? So the SPY then goes up, right? Hits, 462. and then it starts fading a little bit, comes back down once again. Doesn't quite bounce there, but it bounces off this time, right? They try it, bears try it again. They try it again, they break through that time, gets pushed back up right here for the last hurrah, but this time they break down through there, right? And so we hit down here, come back up, and now it's being used as a level of resistance. So here it was support, here it's resistance, right? So now you have this thing where it just aggressively gets pushed down, right, with left gaps. So you have to go fill those gaps at some point. Now you filled the gaps back here, right, up to here. This has filled the gaps back that were left here on the daily. So now we filled those gaps, but what's happening? We're pushing up against it, and we're not breaking through so far. So, yeah. I mean, I think that's a very interesting level. And then what was the other one we marked out? It was 411. Let me just add drawing. What was it? 411. Let's draw it there roughly. So, yeah, these will be there. And then what's the next one? So, levels of support right now is 405. 405, roughly here. Add drawing. Come on, there. We're close enough. So yeah, I'm curious about these ones right here because there's going to be basically some lines that we're going to draw out. But yeah, everyone buy 1K of ATER at the open tomorrow. We're pushing it to 3, whether it likes it or not. Those algos, man, those algos will take care of that, no problem. They'll say, "Oh, you guys want to buy? That's fine. We'll we'll find shares to offset you guys." It's hard to push through those things. Those algos, especially because a lot of times they were internalizing orders, and retail, here's the issue, right? Like most retail investors, some of the people in our Discord, they've wised up and they're doing it right? They're buying through IEX, right? They're making sure their shares go to lit exchanges. But what happens if your order doesn't actually fill in time? What ends up happening is they internalize the order anyway in some brokerages. There's very few brokerages that will let it sit there for a long period of time if it doesn't fill. So, there needs to be more honest brokers, to be honest with you. That's something I think we've talked to the optionality guys about, because they're actually a legitimate brokerage. They just don't have commons yet because I think they have to have a couple $1 million of collateral. So they were able to start it with just doing the spread options and put options, put spreads. But at this point right now, they're not able to trade commons yet. But I think if we get, if they get there, that's going to be a nice thing because they've talked about just routing strictly through IEX, which would allow people to actually trade and have their shares hit the market, which is insane. Because your average place is not doing that. So, has anyone had issues getting a perk code? Are you talking about like the Aterian's rewards thing, like that thing? Not sure. You guys can tell me what you've seen and what you haven't. But yeah, so that's what's going on there. So I just thought this was interesting on the SPY, especially this like 415. That seems to be the most relevant one right now because if it breaks through there and back tests and then that acts as support, then yeah, we might be going up again. But to me, it looks like it's going to be rejecting, unless we have massive volume, because the volume is really not that high. You compare it to back here when they're selling, and you compare it back here when they're pushing up. This got pushed up again on low volume. This is a lot more sell pressure than it is, like down here when it's getting they're slapping the ask. Look, it's even lower here when they're starting to push it up here. So, just throwing it out there. Return of the Red Eyes. Yeah, we might. I mean, I found out there's a bunch of, like, I didn't realize YouTube had a hidden thing when you, like, click on your... Let me see if I can find it again. There was, like, some, like, button you can push. Let me see if I can find it. And I, like, hit it, and it said something about participants, right? So these are the people that have been writing, but then there was another thing that said, like hidden users or something like that. Yeah, and it had, like, all these, like... Or maybe they're just people that mods banned. Maybe that's it. Who knows? But yeah, it was all the bot people. So, what's your insight on earnings? Will they follow Amazon? It's hard to say, like, because here's the deal. They're in obviously a very different place in a company like Amazon. Amazon, you know, is a behemoth. I know because I've owned them for a long, long time. Aterian is still trying to get their feet underneath them. So, you know, I think anticipation is right now, you know, they always set these, like, kind of like what's going to go on with it. Like, is, you know, it's going to beat earnings. What are, like, the, here. So it's next Monday, I believe, after hours, right, is when when they're going to announce. Let me see what the estimates are. Give me 2 seconds and I'll pull it up for you guys. I need to open up a new browser, though. Give me a second. Because I have Morningstar underneath my own regular. Launch investor. Okay. So, Aterian, let's see what they think for them. All right, so I'll screen the shot this and share it with you guys. This is Morningstar. So right now they have Aterian as a 4-star buy based off the price. So a 5-star buy would be anything under 180. And I think if you guys remember, I actually had that number as a special number because that was basically where your assets would be listed out. So your current assets are down there, like, unless we get a new surprise from the balance sheet on, you know, August. But at this point right now, that's where current assets are listed at. So, all right. But I'd like to see revenue go up. But yeah, I was gonna say I'm not worried about how it goes up. It's going to get. ATER's a 3-star, isn't it? No, they actually have it right now based off where we're at. Last close. Did they move? Oh, they moved it to 3 stars. So I guess they did change something before, as of August 1st. You're right, it is a 3-star now. They just moved up into that, I guess, in the last day or so. Let's see. Where is... Here we go. There we go. All right, so since you guys all want to know about this, or at least some of you guys want to know about this, this is the Morningstar Analysis. We had moved this, I think, this used to be, I believe, that it was a 4-star buy before, and now it's moved to a 3-star. So they moved it to a 3-star buy because the price right now has gone up higher than where they had it last time. Yeah, they adjusted the 5-star price to $179. Exactly. Yeah. So, and this is probably coming up on earnings, so they're, you know, this is what they're estimating now. Are people putting questions into Aterian for the... Wait, what? What are you saying, Apesa? are people putting question marks into Aterian for the earnings? What's CC? Is that... Oh, are you? Oh, you're asking, are people going to go ahead and ask questions at the end of it? Yeah, I think people have in the past, if I remember correctly. Yeah, sorry, conference call. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people are able to listen. If you're an investor, if you have one share of Aterian, you can ask whatever questions you want. So, there's that. So, let's take a look at... All right. So, yeah, they put out an email to the shareholders. You can, but you can call in and you can actually ask questions. And I recommend people do that. Like, if you have a question, like, I've had conversations with investor relations before, so I don't really have any, like, pertinent questions. I'll have probably questions after the call because, I want to see what they actually put out there for us as investors. So, typically for me, I'm not going to have them on the spot unless there's something relevant I don't hear in the conversation, when they ask questions. The analysts ask pretty good questions. Most of the guys that cover this for, like, some of these, like, they cover it professionally. They ask pretty good, poignant questions. So, but yeah, you can always write investor relations beforehand or afterhand. They do respond. Unlike a lot of, like, I've ridden some other companies and I've never heard anything back. Aterian seems to be very open and honest with their their investor relations. So, yeah. But I recommend, if you have questions, ask them. And, if you've got comments and you want to hear from them, bring it up and they can run it up the chain. All right. So, let's take a look at some of these other ones. What do you guys want to cover? What tickers do you want to cover? Because I'm not going to do it all night. I got a late start. But what's up, Awesomeness? Ayo. Yeah, so we covered the SPY. This 415, purple line that I drew out. Support, breaks through, acts as resistance. Now we're coming back up. Is it going to act as resistance again, or are we going to break through? So far, the volume's not high enough to break through, and it looks like it's curving down. But if you look here, the money flow and the OBV are not going up. But you know what it is? The ADL is going up, so they're slapping the ass to bring this up while the money's not actually flowing into the SPY. So to me, this looks like a head fake. I'm just throwing it out there. That's my personal opinion. But okay, you guys want to look at Tough Belt real quick? Tough Belt had some nice volume the last couple days. Let's see how we're doing. Okay, finished down 7% for the day. I saw it chopping around a bit. Let's take a look. So let's see if there's anything going on Dilution Tracker. See if there's any updates. All right. So, Tough Built. It was the first one we looked, right? Looks like Sean wrote something. I'll look at that later. But let's see. So their take as of today, 3.2 million warrants are likely exercised. So the float could be around 7.6. The key event will be when the S1 is filed and registered for the July pipe, which will potentially add another 12 million shares to the float. That's not good. At least for the squeeze. If you're long term on them, that's fine. If you bought down, in the like 2s and 3s, that's completely fine. But obviously, if you're in it just solely for the squeeze, adding another 12 million shares is not going to do that. Would this thing hit at one point? This is when they did the reverse split, right? It had a reverse split, I think, around here. No, I have not touched HKD. To me, that just looks like an accident waiting to happen. As far as like, it's so out of touch. Like, the company does not like. I haven't even looked at fundamentals, and I know from what I saw, they make a couple million a quarter, and yet they're right now a couple $1 billion market cap. Like, there's something wrong with that. There's crime going on, or there's at least loopholes being exploited. So I think it has to do with the Chinese. I think I talked about it yesterday, that they're probably trying to get their money out of China, and so they're pumping up this through somewhat. It's technically legitimate, right? They can say, "Oh, well, it's tax." We don't know what it's what they're doing, but no, not Yakuza. Yakuza's Japanese, I think. China would be triad or whatever. But yeah, but I was going to say, I mean, it would be probably, in my opinion, someone in China, probably like billionaires in China, try to get their money out. And how do you do it? Well, you could always technically pump up a stock, right? It's happening on low volume. But yeah, so let's go back just to finish up Tough Built. Yeah, so let's take a look right here, right? So right now you have already, they think that these 3.2 million June warrants are being exercised already. That would be these ones right here. So they think those ones already got exercised. Along with maybe, no, that one's got a higher exercise price. Let's see. Yeah, shell corps are technically legal. So, I mean, and they still have their ATM, right? So we know they have another 12 million on the ATM and another 13 million on the shelf. So I think dilution is coming for the stock. It might be fine long term because they're going to have a bunch of money, and their float was small, right? They had a small float. So, this might be fine in the long term, but like the fact that they're telling you right here that the June warrants are probably likely exercised, so which means that the short squeeze numbers are going to go down. Yeah. So, let me just see. Once again, this isn't financial advice. I'm just showing you guys how this all works as far as like, if you want to be, in short squeezes, you have to understand dilution and how all this fits together. So, for example, if we pull up Ortex and I put in Tough Built, right? Ortex and these other things typically don't get this right? So they're still using numbers right now. Here, they're still using numbers that are showing that the shares outstanding are 2.83 million. We already know that dilution probably already started happening, and so they probably are at a float of like, I don't know, like, what do you say, 8 million? All right. So anything that you're going to see on this thing is going to be outdated. So when you see it's 157% shorted, right? So 4 million shares, it's bigger than the float. Well, their float's wrong. And these guys don't update it. In fact, they probably make money off this. They to be, in all honesty, like, they most likely just make a ton of money by just putting out slow information, and hedge funds and other people just like, I don't know. I'm sure there's some back scratching that goes on with this stuff. But yeah, the cost to borrow is insanely high. It all looks like, oh my God, this thing's going to squeeze to the moon. And then what you're reading here is the key event will be when the S1. Now, it can squeeze before the S1's filed. But once they register these July pipes, which potentially will add another 12 million shares to the float, it's going to kill it. So the question is, can it squeeze before this S1 gets filed? Because once that S1 gets filed and those shares are out for dilution, it's going to kill whatever squeeze is left. So if you think it's going to squeeze beforehand, before they get that thing filed, then go for it. But in the meantime, like, I just want you guys to be aware that there is some risk there because, we don't know when these things are going to hit. So right now, though, assume that the float is 7.6 million. So if we do that, right, if we do the math on this, if you have 4.45 million shares, right, let's see. I'll bring over a calculator because I don't do this stuff in my head. 4.45 divided by, what did we say? It was 7.1. So it's like 60% float, like shorted. It's still high, but like that's probably the numbers you're actually looking at right now. So it's still extremely high. But if you add an additional, let's just throw this out there. If you add an additional, what they said was 12 million shares? 12 million shares to the float. So if we have 7.6, I don't think I put the right numbers in, but let's just say 7.6. So if, let me do that again. 4.45 divided by 7.6 million. It's like 58% of the float. And so if we do 7.6 plus 12, right, so it's 19.6. So if we do 4.45 divided by 19.6, that would bring it down to 20% of the short, or the float being shorted. So those numbers get real, and I can tell you that your utilization, all that stuff's going to just plummet when that happens. So there you go. How are we looking on ATER utilization? Yeah, everything looks fine on ATER. Like, I mean, the numbers are starting to come up again as far as like the squeeze stuff. Here, look. So let's pull up Aterian. My mouse has been funky. Here we go. All right. So we've just been chilling, basically. The cost to borrow has been fluctuating around 50%, just up a little bit, down a little bit. So I like to take some of these things off. So let's take off some of these things. Okay. Let's take off the days to cover in months. Okay. So here's your chart, right? So you've been consolidating down here for a while. Utilization, right? We hit that February 8th, it hit 100%. These little random dips for a day or two are weird, but I've seen them on a couple other stocks as well. I'm not quite sure why those happen on some of these stocks, but they move up right the next day. So right now, Aterian's about 30% shorted, roughly. That's what they're guessing. So like 31% is if you round up, because it's 30.89. So 30%, 31% short interest, right? If you look at the cost to borrow, it's kind of just been like hovering around this like 50% mark now. There's been 60 down to 50. So shares on loan, it's about middle. Exchange reported things are going up, though. You can see right here, these are the official numbers, and they're going up. So we can do an estimate if you want. So estimate's going up. The FTDs have been low, which is fine, and I expect them, whenever there's volume again, you're going to see the FTD spike. Let's see. Call to put ratio is going back up, right? So we had really high call put ratios here, right? There you go. Yeah, it's all about lending. So, like, we'll see what ends up happening with these things, but they're doing fine. Like, the numbers are, looking like they're starting to move up. If you look at the actual exchange reported data, 7.8, 8.86, 9.5, they're shorting again. They're pushing the stock down, or at least suppressing it. So, there it is. What's up, Memo? Yep, there's always tomorrow. And if you're patient on it, we already know that they have to get the stock up to like 320 just to unlock the warrants. But for them to dilute, they're going to have to move it up to probably like 5-ish before they dilute. So we know that that's going to be a price target for them at some point. All right. I haven't heard you sipping on scotch lately. Yeah, I haven't been doing it because I was mainly doing it to keep my cough down, but I haven't been coughing as much. So if you'd like, I can drink a glass of scotch. I don't mind. You want me to get a glass of scotch? How was your trading day today? My trading day was very good. I had a nice. I think I had like a 3 or 4% day up, so that was good. It was a good amount of money that came in. I was able to sell some, things that had ran up. I locked in REV's profits yesterday. I still have 4 right now. Yeah, I did pretty well. Could them running up to 3.2 also cause some delta hedging, short covering? Is that already priced in? I mean, they would. My guess would be like whoever's doing this they're going to run with it. So yeah, like these guys yo-yoed this thing, right? So this stock, go back in its history, right? This stock has been pushed all the way up to 40 something, down to 3, up to 18, down back up to 16, then all the way down to 210, then up to 7. They yo-yoed this thing making money, right? They're the ones doing this. They can easily control a small cap like this. So you just have to be patient and understand that these things will move at times. And when you do that, it will actually you'll be surprised how quickly it moves, because like there was no volume here, just sit there, and that was like bleeding for months, then all of a sudden just pop, right? And now we're down here doing the same exact thing, and what happens? Pop. Like you will just get another pop up. So as long as you're patient with it and understand how this works and don't freak out, then yeah, it's all good. Do you think ATER's ready to pop anytime soon? Yeah, I mean, like the longer it goes and kind of hangs out down here at these levels, that's typically a sign that things will move again. It's when things are stagnant that they'll take their next leg up. Like you see, this was constant bleeding, hit down spring, and then they moved up. Got pushed all the way down. Shorts really hit it up, shorted there, and then it popped up. Shorted, popped up. Shorted. This is what they do. So, yeah, you want to see Ortex on DTC? Sure. Solo Brands. Look at these guys, right? Been pushed down. Now consolidation, right? Consolidation. And now what we'll have to see is, will they break out of this? There's a ton of stocks that have the exact same setup. A lot of these newer IPOs, a lot of these like meme stocks, they all look like this exact chart. And then they consolidate down here for a while. This is when institutions are actually buying. This actually looks like Wyckoff accumulation to a T. And then we'll come down, hit maybe one last spring, and then move back up. So, yeah. So if you want to look at the short data on them, right, still about 20% shorted if those numbers are correct. Now, this is the one weird thing about DTC, right? I showed you guys my spreadsheet on this thing. This thing's a weird stock as far as, let me pull up my sheets. I can't believe no one wanted to talk to me about, I mean, I was nice and I was like, hey, need some help with the accounting stuff, and nobody came to my aid. They probably want to get paid, that's why. I just hit all these random accountants up on Reddit and nobody responded. I'm checking right now to make sure nobody wrote me back. Yeah, nobody came to play. Okay, let's take a look. I just saw this. Why wasn't I invited? Yeah, this is me writing these accountants. Tried a bunch of them. None of them got back to me. This is the new digital. Yeah, is the new GameStop thanks to Reddit. Yeah, this is, by the way, this right here, total lie. This is not Reddit. Wall Street Bets. What's happening to AMD? Well, Wall Street Bets did that. Wait, what? Yeah. Yeah, DTC's basically got Class A's and Class B's. And here, I'll pull over what I was basically doing, right? So this is the way I think that Ortex is doing it. And I can show you, hopefully, next to it. Yeah, but I can tell you right now, that's not retail doing that. Retail does not slap the ask. Retail can barely tie their shoes. They are not slapping the ask on a Chinese IPO. They don't know how to do what they're. That's basically just the big guys messing with stuff and then finding an easy target to blame. Okay. So let's look at this overview because it does show right here, right? So it's saying that there's 63 million shares outstanding, right? Here's 63 million shares, right? That's the Class A's. So here's the issue, right? There's also Class B shares, right? But Class B's don't typically, they're considered insiders typically. Not always because there's different circumstances, but if you buy Class B shares, typically you are an insider because you get, there's different like ways, but you basically get paid out first depending on how that's structured. Sometimes you have less voting rights, sometimes you have the same, it all depends. In DTC's case, they had the same exact voting rights as Class A shares. But typically they're reserved for insiders. So if you look at this, right, if these are all insider shares, that means they're not really part of the float. So this is really what we're dealing with right here. Now, if you have 63 million shares, right, and then you go into here, they are saying that basically, where is it? Okay, the free float they're saying is 14 million shares. Look at this. The float is 14 million shares, right? That's what they're saying. Now, here's where it gets a little funky, right? They've already combined basically these two numbers together, right? So they combine this number and this number gets you 94 million, right? And then they tallied up all the different shares across all institutions. That's what this number is. And that left you with a float of 14 million, right? So that's what they're counting as the float, right? The free float for this stock. Now, if you actually go across, though, and add up all the different... I know you can't see this. I'll have to pull it over. All the different shares, right? If you go from institutional ownership, and if I grab... I think is it this one? I go all the way down here, right? I don't know if I can see it on here. That's 65 million shares, right? Well, there's only 63 million shares outstanding, right? So this is where it gets like convoluted because it's like, okay, so institutions own like all this, right? So after we were calculating it out, we were only getting like a free float of like 7 million shares, which means that if you have 3 million shares short, that's like 40-something% of that, right? So the numbers should be higher, I think, on DTC than they're actually, because they're basically combining these Class A, Class Bs, leaving you with this, larger 14 million float. If you take 3 million of it, that's only 20%. So I think it's actually double what it is, but they're doing it this way for some weird reason, because normally insider stuff is locked up and they're technically taking it out, but they're also just combining both. Like, insiders typically don't sell. Like, and maybe because they're strategic partners, that's why they're doing it this way. Because technically a strategic partner could sell. I mean, so can insiders, though. Like, the CEO can sell shares as well. So I don't know at what point it's like, okay, well, you know, this all makes sense or doesn't make sense. So this is where I'm at with this thing. I've been kicking around the numbers for a while. I've deduced at least this is how they're coming up with their numbers. But, yeah. Okay, so let's see. What's SNDL doing? Is that Sundial, right? The marijuana Sundial growers? Yeah. I remember when they were getting pumped on Wall Street Bets, or one of those ones. Yeah, so, I mean, they had that nice run right there, and then just boom. And that happened on, what date was that? Was that during, like, GameStop and all that stuff? Yeah. It was right after, right? That was like February. So that was like on the second round. Yeah, so if their stock price right now is below $1, no, what did they close? SNTL. They're still above $1, so they're in compliance. Yeah, they're in compliance there for SNDL, so I think you're fine. I think, if I remember correctly, let's see. They have a large float, kind of like the same size as BBIG. And there's not a lot of insider ownership on this stock. So your free float's basically almost the same size as your shares outstanding. So cost to borrow is still pretty low. Utilization is not 100%. Let's see. Are they having any issues? Threshold lists? No. How about FTDs? Not a ton. Yeah, I mean, it's got the squeeze score is going up. It's just the numbers here don't. Wait a second. Share short 233 million. How many shares outstanding are there? Oh, that's weird. They're saying that there's 238 million and 200. That can't be right. That can't be right, can it? These are exchange reported data. That would mean that the stock is like 90% shorted. I would expect all these numbers to be much higher if it was that high. Why are they also reporting it here as 151 million? Yeah, something's going on with this thing. That's weird. Oh, just reverse split. Okay, that's what's going on then. I was like, what? What's going on here? They just haven't updated this. That's what's going on. So they did the reverse split to stay in compliance. Okay. That's all that is. Okay. I was like, some of these numbers don't add up, but thanks for that. Yeah, they did a reverse split. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see the cost to borrow go up and make people a little more uncomfortable. I'll have to take a look once they fix these numbers, and we'll take a look at Sundial again if you guys want. Okay. I got a question for you, Adam. I wasn't able to make Monday or yesterday's stream, so I forgot. I watched The Big Short and Margin Call over the weekend. I wanted to ask you your thoughts are on the '08 crash versus what we're seeing today. Looking at the percentage that went down the '08 and how long it took to recover, where we're not so far today, it looks like we're not even halfway down. I agree with that. All right. We'll pull up a SPY chart real quick. Let's pull up SPY. Okay. So this here was the COVID crash. I'm probably going to have to go to the weekly on this. In fact, I think I have to change my time frame. Time frame, we need to go back like 15 years. Okay. That would be... Right, this would be the crash right here. Yeah, so they went from like 150s down to a low of like 68 during that, right? So on the daily, this is where the majority of the like huge selling came. These are massive drops. Just in perspective, these are just absolutely massive drops, especially this one right here. Going from like 10 something down to, was that 80 something in a day? I mean, you're talking about like billions of dollars getting erased that day. Right? And then it chopped around for a while. This is where it started, obviously, like, you know, you hit here, like, same thing. This is basically the spring. During this time, my guess would be this is starting to be basically people starting to buy in again. So look at this. You've got these people coming in that they saw that it was oversold here again. They've already been chopping around the 60s. It starts getting pumped up again, right? Comes up, comes up. This is where people took profits. So you can see here, they took some profits here, dropped back down. Then, next part of the bull market, it gets choppy here in, I guess it's 17. No, this is, sorry. What year is this now? Where are we? Let me find where we are now in comparison. This must be... That's 19. So that was 18, 17 here. Okay. So fast forward, right? Now this is our bull run. This huge bull run, right? We get all the way up here to what was the high? Like 470 something, 479 or something like that, or 476. Then you see it was, where's the 200? I don't have the 200 drawn on this one. I'll have to change that. But basically, what you see here is support breaks through, right? And then acts as resistance, acting as resistance so far. So, yeah, I'd like to see what goes on in the next couple of years. But if you compare these things, because these are weekly, not daily, so I just want to point that out. These are weekly candles. So I got that wrong. That was not in a day. That was in a week where that fell. Take that back. Yeah, it went from like 100-something down to 85 in a week, not a day. Apologize for that. Okay. But yeah, I was going to say, to me right now, I think we need to come back. And I drew this line out for you guys a while back. But down here in the 340s, that's the next place I think it's going to be testing. Because if you look here, there were some daily gaps that they left around here. And I know you can't see them super well there. But they left some gaps there. I think actually if I do this, let me see if I can find it. All right. I drew it up better on Webull, I think. Probably should pull up TradeView, but yeah, so same sort of thing. I had a line I drew out here. It seems to be, I think this is off though. It should be, that's the 411, not the 415. There's a 415 one that's the major one that I was drawing out. But just wanted to point out this one down here I drew, which somehow it got moved. Maybe come up, but it left gaps here in this range. So I expect those gaps from back in November to fill at some point, and that was down in the 340s. So that's what I think we're going to see. All right, I'll answer a couple more questions, but I think I'm going to be not staying up super late tonight. All right, let's see. SXTC. Let's take a look. SXTC. China pharmaceutical up 13% today. So, you got some volume out of nowhere, right? Now, it wasn't a huge amount. It was about 1 million shares. But in this history, when you're trading, only a couple hundred, that's a significant jump. It's like a 10x jump in volume, right? So the question is, what's going on with this thing? So let's take a look. SXTC. All right. So it looks like these are probably convertible notes. Yep, there's a couple convertible notes and a small amount of warrants. They are technically cash flow positive. They do have warrants right now with an exercise price of 50. And it's Hudson Bay and Alto that have them. They're full ratchet. These warrants, there's only 467,000 of them with a conversion price of $6. So that's not like a huge amount. These convertible notes have a lower convertible, right? Yeah, they don't seem to need a ton of cash. Overall risk is medium. Historically, they have diluted already, but it doesn't look like they need it. So what I would do is I would take a look at their filings. No, it's a 4-in-1, so we're going to have to kind of sift through. And the only problem, I'm not saying this to be mean or anything, but when you're dealing with stocks from other countries, and at least I know the standards of the U.S. With China, it seems it'll be a little bit more of a wild west situation as far as some things get pushed through and you find out later they're not quite on the up and up. Literally, there was a couple fictional Chinese companies that were pushed out on U.S. investors, and literally there was no company behind it. It was all just they said there was a factory. People started researching and found out there was nothing there. So. But yeah, if they're starting out small, that could be interesting. I'd like to see their balance sheet real quick. I would imagine I think we have a balance sheet. Let's try. Okay. It's consolidation. Yeah, these things get super messy later on. The CEO and director is 30 years old. Who's this guy? What's the name of the company? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know much about, to me, you could say, oh, well, yeah, this is, like the best school in China. I don't know. I don't know a lot of these companies. So, yeah, the Wild Wild East. Yeah, I mean, there's always risk when you don't know exactly, like, I guess this is their factory. Let's take a look. But yeah, that was, for me, like, I would keep my risk down. I wouldn't be throwing my life savings into something like this. But, if you're, I don't see immediate red flags on dilution off the bat. We'll see. They're not writing anything. It looks like there's 2% short interest. There's not a lot of institutional ownership on this. So it's a tiny float. So it could move. If there's any sort of interest in, like, okay, we need to pump something else now. Yeah. Yeah, I don't, But yeah, as far as the flyer goes, Renaissance has got a small position in it, which is interesting. So does Susquehanna, Citadel. I mean, if you look at the usual suspects, a lot of them are in here. So could they pump this thing for fun? Make some money on it? Probably. Did it hugely gap up? Is that what's going on here? Because to me, that looks like a huge gap up. If that gapped up that much, I wouldn't touch it until it fills some of that gap if I'm going long on it. But if it's just a squeeze play, then it's different. Let's see. Is that legit? Like, it just... We're on a daily, right? I feel like now I've got to look at another chart I have a better view at. Someone else, if you want to do this, pull up this ticker. I'd like to see what you guys are seeing on your side. If there's any sort of huge gap that I'm... I'm not going crazy, right? There's no gap there. That's 1 month. I want... How about on the 1 hour? And then let's do... candles. I see the volume. I just want to make sure. Is there any gaps? On the daily. I don't see any. Let me just go to the daily. On 1 day. I do see a gap, but it filled. So it filled there. That's fine. It's been consolidating for a while. Tell it's my bedtime. Yeah, I don't know where they pulled this thing, but I don't see that on my chart, so I don't think it gapped up. 2 months ago, they announced a 20-to-1 reverse split. So... Okay. It's not a gap, yeah. The 10-to-4 one I saw. Okay, yeah, I mean, like, could it be worth a flyer? Sure. like the CCI looks like it's coming up. Let me just look at it from a macro. But yeah, like if you see here, you all of a sudden we're kind of getting towards oversold area. The RSI just picked up today. You see, some volume pick up with it. I'd like to see continuation of that. The money flow has been high on this thing while the price has been low. The CCI is just starting to now come back over. If it crosses over here, that's a bullish sign. Same thing on the awesome. If you start seeing it oscillate to the other side, same thing here. It's just been flatlining for a while, it looks like. So it's a gap from 4 to 7 too. Yeah, this is a gap. But it did fill when it ran up to here. Yeah, I think it did a reverse split. So 2 months ago they announced a 20-to-1 or 20-to-1 reverse share split. So there were 40. They reduced it down to approximately 2 million shares. It's interesting. I mean, curious why you would do that. Obviously, it gives your shareholders value. But were they getting to the point where they're going to delist? It didn't look like that. Yeah, it's pulling up. I mean, it's tiny floats. I mean, this could be moved really easily. So, curious to see what happens with this one. I mean, it was only it was less than 1 million volume, and it moved it from what, like 50 cents. So, or 20 cents today. So, that's right. Okay. So, one to look at. ATER all day. ATER all day. Yep. Yeah, Vlad, that's correct. So on the Aterian with the warrants, they can exercise any time between 2027 and now, or sorry, in September. But I'll put it to you this way: most companies don't want to wait that long on their warrants, especially on the small cap like that. So I'm not too worried about having to wait that many years for them to push up the price. The stock's going to move on its own over the course of time. All right, let me just see. Pulling up. All right. Cool beans, yeah. All right, cool, brother. About to hop off. Yep, appreciate it. Yeah, I'm tired tonight, guys. I'm gonna hop off early unless you guys have. I'll do one more ticker for you. How's that? Anyone else? I got one. Do you want me to do HKD just because everybody's like, what's going on with this thing? Yeah, I mean, this thing's insane. Look at the volume. Like, there's no volume on this thing. REV. Okay, we can do REV. But yeah, there's no volume on this thing, and this thing's flying up. Like, this is not normal. All right, so Rev had that nice pop, right? We got that boom up here. I took some profits here. It ran even higher this morning and then came back down. Got pushed down in the evening, or sorry, the afternoon. So let me kind of break down this on these stupid. All right, let's go on a 5-minute. All right. So, first thing in the morning, ran up here, hit that 10, and then got crushed down. Came back up, bounced off the upper line of the VWAP, and then, and then got pushed back down below the VWAP, right? So I expect them to probably, we'll see how far away it strays from the VWAP. If they attack it down tomorrow, I'm curious to see what ends up happening with this, because this is one that obviously they have an active ATM on this thing, but they don't really need the money at this point. They just like restructured under like a 1.4 billion. So let's see. Let's see. Yeah, if this thing right now, if they attack it down tomorrow, because obviously if you look at all the stuff, the money flow hasn't really gotten. Let's see. Let me zoom out a little bit because that's a better indicator. Let's go to the daily real quick. Yeah, I mean, this thing got some volume. What was it, like 20-something million? 55 million the first day, and then it was down to like 30 or 40. So this thing's still trading a lot. Technically it's crossed over on this, and so you've CCI's up, your MACD's crossed over again, bullish. You're pretty much maxed out already on the RSI. So it needs time to cool off, but it will probably go one more time, if not more, on this one. And I think I showed you guys before there is an ATM on this, but I don't think that they're going to use it. And they could use it, but I'm just saying they don't really need to with this new deal in place, but it's there, just throwing it out there. So they still have 25 million that they can raise there, and they have another 75 million on a shelf, but I from what I saw, they didn't really need the money. The cash, they still have a good amount of cash, and they're cash flow positive. So, all right. Well, you guys have a wonderful evening. I will talk to you tomorrow. If you're not part of the Discord, I welcome you to come and hang out with us. I'll put the link here also, so you guys can join in. It's free. We just talk stocks all day and just inviting more people in just to have fun and learn. And, the whole point of this has always been education. So I do this for you guys. I don't make a lot of money on YouTube. I can tell you that now. I've showed some of you guys in the past that, like, I think I actually looked at it, and I will be making, so this month right now, I'm going to make $41 off YouTube. Over an entire month of streaming, like every night. I always said I'd be open and transparent about the stuff. Yeah, so my estimated revenue off YouTube would be $41. So I mainly do. If you break down how many hours, I'm making money off you guys. Any plans on getting the optionality guys back on? Yeah, let me reach out to them. I feel bad. It's late. I'll do it tomorrow. Remind me tomorrow if you can, awesomeness, or random. Somebody remind me to go ahead and hit up the optionality guys, and we'll see if we can get them on. Maybe get DZ on again too, because I think those were good conversations. All right. Yeah, but let's get those guys back on. I had a good time talking to them, and I think we can get some good questions, asking some former smart money. Yeah, I'll try to remember too, but there needs to be like a remind me function on these bots on Discord that I can set like alarms for myself. I'm pretty sure there probably were. Yeah, but yeah, let's get them back on. All right, cool. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, and have a great evening. And set a timer on your phone. Well, then I have to pick up my phone and stop being lazy. I just want to go to bed now. All right, guys, have a good one. Oh yeah, like and subscribe if you haven't already. I feel like it's the same people on here every single stream, so I think you guys have all subscribed. But anyone that's listening to this for the first time, thanks for hanging out with us, and I hope you join the Discord. And also, if you can like and subscribe, that'd be great. Thanks.